It usually takes a lot to piss off a college football coach, but who knew all it took was Tyler in Spartanburg, South Carolina, to send Dabo Swinney through his gasket. If you're brand new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football every single day. I talk NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, but I love talking college football. If this is the type of content you enjoy, this is the channel made for you. So hit the subscribe button down below, give a thumbs up to the video, leave a comment what your thoughts are on the disaster that is the Dabo Swinney season in Clemson. Tell your friends, your family, your mother, your sister, your brother, the pastor, the drunk guy passed out in a Waffle House parking lot on Saturday game days about this channel. Because if we get to 1,000 subscribers by November 15th, I'll shave my head live on air. Yep, 3 live shows a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. You're not going to want to miss out. So hit the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and let's continue to talk college football. Dabo Swinney, Clemson 2023. Oh boy. All right, where the hell do I begin with this? I fell for the trap of outside noise finally being prominent in South Carolina. I thought that the hiring of Garrett Riley from TCU was going to be methodically magical, especially for Cade Klubnik, a very good up-and-coming quarterback. I thought that the culture and the defense and the players that were returning this year were all going to stabilize what we knew about Clemson last year, and this was still going to be their conference to lose. Spoiler alert, no, not even close. They lost the season opener to Duke in horrendous fashion because they should have won that game with how many trips they made to the red zone. They fumbled the bag, especially late against Florida State, and now they're sitting at 500. And the only place you can go is back to Kansas, click your heels 3 times because you're not at Clemson anymore, Dorothy Gale. You're just not, or Dabo Gale, however you want to phrase it. But there was a radio show. Every single coach has one. This is very common in college football. So Dabo was hosting a radio show, and last night Tyler from Spartanburg called in, and he decided to call out Dabo Swinney, just like he wanted to. And credit to the dude for having the balls and the gall to say what he said about scriptures and bring up contracts and annual salary and why fans should be accepting this mediocre of a season, because you hit all the right buttons, my friend. I mean, honestly, as somebody that works in radio and has dealt with these type of callers, dude, you knew exactly what you were doing and you got the exact answer you wanted. And so you got to give credit where credit's due for Tyler in this sense, because you saw a side of Dabo Swinney that I think a lot of the Clemson fan base has wanted to see, and not this politically correct BS of, oh, we're right there. We can feel it. We know that we're in the running. We see how close we are. We're almost there. People are tired of hearing that crap. They are. They wanted to see the passion, the flames, and the fire be ignited. And lo and behold, they got that. The problem that I had here, and I'm just going to go on this real fast. There's 3 people involved with this call. Number 1 is the caller, Tyler. Number 2 is Dabo Swinney. And number 3 is the host of the radio show, who probably halfway through should have been like, hey, thanks for the call. Best of luck. We'll go ahead and talk about this on the other side of the break. Coming up next. That's what you do in radio, especially when you get these asinine callers that think that they're a cut above everybody else. And that didn't happen. And instead, we got one of the best clips that we've seen in a while. And here's the main question. Are you Team Dabo or are you Team Tyler? I think you need to be Team Dabo. I really do. I'm going to be a just proponent of the notion. I am Team Dabo, and I've been Team Dabo for a very long time. Dabo was one of the very first coaches I got to interview at a professional level. He was very kind to me. He's always been a very upstanding dude than every single conversation I've had with him. But it's more so than that, because Dabo brought up some really interesting points. For starters, every coach is allowed to have a bad year. Like, the standard, it seems, as of right now, is you have to be Nick Saban or Kirby Smart, where you're not allowed to have a down season. Because in Athens, if you don't win the national title, well, it just feels like it's a lost season. In Tuscaloosa, and as somebody that went to the school, covered the team, and also watched 2 national championships, if you don't go to the college football playoff, the sky is falling and you might as well be thinking that the world is ending. Like, that's the way it's set in Tuscaloosa. And Nick Saban has never once had a losing season since his first year. He's always gotten 10-plus wins. He's still on that pathway this year. There's a shot for them to still go to the college football playoff. All that aside, you never see a down year. So that seems to be what fans in Clemson expect from the Tigers. But everyone's allowed to have a down year. Everybody. The problem is, how do you make sure that the cascading avalanche that is 2023 doesn't reach the town and completely dismantle 2024 and beyond? That's where Dabo has to fix the issues. And that's where it's very hard for me to say, okay, Dabo's completely in the right. Because part of the problem is Dabo. And I hope that he admits that. And I hope that there comes a point where, yeah, he agrees, I am part of the concern. And you heard it in his voice. I know that we're not living up to the standard. It starts with me. It also ends with you. You have to make changes. And I know that we say adapt or die, but it literally in college football, like any sport, like any profession, you adapt or die. I'm doing YouTube because of I know in case radio doesn't work out for me and if I want to stay prominent in media, I have to adapt. And YouTube and TikTok and those things are the way you adapt. The same thing for college football. And Kyle Whittingham has adapted, and Nick Saban has adapted, and Kirby Smart has adapted, and you've seen Mac Brown adapt, and all these other coaches that have been around the block for years adapt to the changes of college football, and they stay prominent for a reason. The transfer portal and NIL are not going anywhere. And Dabo has to embrace that. He doesn't have to like it. You don't have to go ahead and say, oh, well, our NIL is GOD, GD damn. Like, you don't need to go that far. But you have to embrace it because it's not going to go away, and that's going to hinder your success. And there is a standard set by Dabo. More on that in a minute. Primarily at wide receiver, this was a year you should have gone out and added somebody. And if Dabo didn't get in his own way, they had options, many options. Adonai Mitchell and Keon Coleman are probably two of the biggest examples of why the transfer portal is a blessing for teams. A.D. Mitchell caught 4 touchdown passes in 4 different playoff games, and he won 2 national titles. But you didn't really hear his name that prominently at Georgia. Now he's being viewed by many draft analysts as a midday pick. He's been a superstar on the 40 acres for Texas. And he also is a guy that you know has that trust factor with both Quinn Ewers and Malik Murphy. Keon Coleman is going to be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft. He's a human highlight reel that immediately flourished working in Tallahassee with Mike Norvell's offense and Jordan Travis as his quarterback. And those guys could have been in Clemson, and they could have been a reason why you were fighting for a national championship. And there were plenty of other guys out there as well. Ra Thomas, who's now at Georgia. He was the leading receiver at Mississippi State. You have Dominic Lovett, who was at Missouri. He also could have gone to Clemson and been a superstar. You could have gone after Theo Wees Jr. He would have been a great addition opposite of your Antonio Williams. He would have been awesome pairing with Kate Klubnik, but you chose not to do that, and that's on you. This is where you have to understand that next season, if you don't adapt, much like the dinosaurs, you'll be left behind. Nick Saban is a crocodile. Crocodiles have been alive for 65 million years. Nick Saban isn't going anywhere because he learned to adapt. When the offense became more spread and he couldn't just win with defense alone, he had to go out and hire the right guys. And that's why Lane Kiffin came in, and that's why Brian Dable came in, and that's why Steve Sarkisian came in, and he won more national titles, and they still are the team to beat in college football by most standards. The other thing that's really prominent about Dabo Swinney, which I do agree with 100%, as much as he would like to cater to the fans have to realize they don't listen. He doesn't listen to you. He listens to the 3 people in charge: the boosters, the athletic director, and the school president. And if they're done with him and they say, we can't win with you, and if you're not willing to make changes, we have to make a change, so be it. Here's $64 million to get the hell out of Clemson. And he could do that. And you know what? Every single time that someone brings that up to me, cool, $64 million, fire me. See what the hell happens. I'm excited for it. The problem where I have an issue with Dabo is, number one, he fell into the trap because Tyler knew exactly what he was doing when he called into the show. He wanted a reaction. He didn't want a stable one. He wanted a reaction, and he got it. He got exactly what he was paying for. But the other thing was, Dabo has to admit that the standard that's set when he first arrived at Clemson and took over is no longer the standard. The reason why fans are furious and the reason why people are elatedly upset at what's going on this season is because of you changed the standard. You upgraded what we believed was supposed to be Clemson football. And you have to remember, Clemson for years was below average. They were nothing before Dabo got there. And then Dabo, even in his first few years, he almost didn't survive. There was a conversation to where potentially he was going to be shown the door. And then 10 wins came, and then another 10 wins came, and then slowly but surely, ACC titles and national championships, and he's done that. But once you do that, that's the standard. Think about it this way. I post 5 YouTube videos a day. I go live 3 days a week. And then everyone comes up and they say, hey, Cole, you're only doing 2 videos a day and you're only going live once a week. That's not your standard. Okay, well, that's the standard that I set. That's the morals that you, the listener, deserve. And that's what you should be paying for. And that's why I say all the time, standards change. You have to adapt to the standard. So Dabo right now is very much in the right. And I agree with a lot of what he said. In fact, I become more of a Dabo fan because of it. Because more importantly, what he did with that call was defend his players in that locker room. And everybody who is now saying, oh, Dabo doesn't care. Dabo is all about his way. No, Dabo's pissed. Dabo's fucking furious. And well, he should be at the situation. And good for him. And if I'm a player this morning and I'm seeing the way that he handled that phone call with the Tyler, God, that's such a good way to burn him. It's such a good burn. I see that. I'm more excited than I've ever been before to play for Dabo Swinney. But now it comes to, how do I fix what's been the problem? And that's somewhat out of my hands, but part of it's in my hands. I can win this weekend against Notre Dame, and then I think positive praise, and I think that personal opinions kind of go out the wayside, and now you have a better, a likeness poll. That's all great for what you see in Clemson, but it's all about how you fix next season. Because the last thing you want to do if you're in Clemson, South Carolina this year is say, oh, one bad year turns into 2024, we're 7-5, and 2025, we're 5-8, 5-7, and then 8 or 9 years from now, look at us being back at 10 wins. Because that's what happened with Jimbo Fisher at Florida State. They had great success, and they kind of fell off, and then the Avalanche just sputtered into Tallahassee, and it took years for them to remove all the snow and get back on the mountaintop, and they're still not even there yet. They're still climbing. But that's the good news if you are Clemson, is that if you can fix these flaws this year, you're nowhere out of line. I credit Dabo for what he did. I thought that it was kind of childish at times, but more importantly, he did get a reaction. Everyone's kind of right, but if you're not Team Dabo after this one, I don't know what to tell you. There's a lot of positivity of what you heard in that press conference. I think that there's a lot of fans in Clemson this morning who heard that and realized he's got to make switches, but he still is the guy that cares about this program. And as long as he has that, I think that we're going to be back on track. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.